From the indie company named Matt Makes Games Incorporated comes a gem that anyone who is into platformers should play. Celeste. A simple game about a girl named Madeline who takes on the challenge of climbing up a mountain, both physically and metaphorically. This is it, Smoof. Just breathe. Are you nervous? Well, yes, actually. Yes, I am. This is the first time I've ever done a game review, and I'm nervous. Mostly because I know I'm bringing nothing new to the table, and I don't think I'll be as funny or as informative enough compared to the already established YouTubers. With these thoughts present in my mind, that is why I'm starting my journey into game reviews with Celeste, as the whole game is centered around not ignoring your negative thoughts, but working with them to grow as a person. Shall we begin? You are thrown straight in, with simple jumping and climbing challenges. After surviving your first of hundreds near-death experiences, you are greeted to a batty old bird. Not that one, this one, who oozes sass. She expresses that her drive collapsing on us would be the least of our worries if we were to actually climb up the mountain and get to the summit. Frustrated, Madeline doesn't take this very well and departs. But the feeling of danger is ever present as you are greeted to a crumbling bridge as a near-death experience number 2, the first of hundreds, emerges in the limelight. Luckily, a batty old bird, not that one, flies by and gives you your final tutorial piece, and with that, you know all the mechanics to the game, climbing, jumping and dashing. This prologue is both simple but genius. Within 3 minutes, the game establishes the controls, characters and tone. Hopefully I've already set the tone for this video too. Please, I hope you enjoy my review of Celeste. You can do this. Chapter 1. Forsaken City. An abandoned city at the foot of the mountain. I'm not sure how the current situation of the city came to be, but what I do know is that this is now a playground of platforming bliss. But first, strawberries. Strawberries are Celeste's main collectible. Collect all of them in each level to gain the ultimate prize. Bragging rights. That's right, even in the loading screen for Chapter 2, the game designers say that you get nothing for collecting them all, and you should only acquire them all to impress your friends. This is both true in and out the game, but we'll get to that later. Back to the city. Now this is how you make a level 1. Slight challenge, but nothing too controller snapping, and the music is catchy as hell. The song First Steps is just so atmospheric. It creates an in-depth level of empathy towards Madeline, which entices you to go on this journey with her. It really does make you feel that there are conflicting emotions within our protagonist. And heck, even while writing this script I'm conflicted. I'm probably looking way too deep into this song, but that is how I truly felt about the track. Good stuff. As I said earlier, this level introduces us to the main collectible, strawberries. These are either hidden in plain sight or in a hidden area with a small platform puzzle of which you have to overcome. If you were to beeline it straight to the finish line, then this level isn't actually too challenging. But if you stop to take everything in, collect all those cheeky strawberries, then that is where you find some truly challenging platforming, and I love it. This specific challenge I would like to bring up because it allows me to go into detail about the jumping mechanics, as it's not much so a double jump, but instead more of a dash. Madeline dashes off into a direction you want to go, up, down, left, right, diagonal, you name it. When Madeline's hair is red, that is an indication that she has a dash in her. But the second she dashes, her hair goes blue, indicating she is going to drop like a rock. This shows the player basically, that you're gonna die, unless you hit one of these green diamonds which resets your dash limit. Again, I would like to reiterate how simple but genius the gameplay design is. So dashing is all well and good, but each level also has its own unique, and for a lack of better word, gimmick. In the Forsaken City, it's these traffic light things. If you grab or land on them, they'll blast in a set path. You can use this momentum to gain some distance and height to reach otherwise impossible locations. So you traverse across the city and reach the outskirts, where a memorial is dedicated to all of the fallen... Guess I speedran that bit. After each level, we're greeted to a beautiful piece of art congratulating us about the completion of the chapter. I love this art because even though the art style is amazing and I love it, it is also very simple and leaves a lot to the imagination. This art puts our imaginations at ease and shows us what the protagonist actually looks like if they were more than 10 pixels. Chapter 2. The Old Site. seems to be an old ruin from years past with mysterious starry squares within. I love this kind of level design, making you walk past inaccessible collectibles, knowing that something is going to change, but you just don't know what or when. Until you come to a mirror which doesn't feel right, and not just because Madeline's reflection is a little off. Madeline manages to break the mirror with her reflection. I know the feeling. And out comes goth girl Madeline, who flies off as the starry blobbles turn into rainbow starry blobbles, of which you can now phase through with the dash ability, thus introducing us all to this level's gimmick, and might I say, these blobbles are one of my favourite platforming elements to this game. After playing around with your new platforming skillage, picking up that darn strawberry that taunted you so, I came across this. Some music beat time-based platforming akin to the music beat time-based platforming in the Beat Block Skyway in Super Mario 3D World. Once you boogie your way to the end and collect the B-side tape, you unlock a harder version of the level, which expands on the gimmick and pushes your platforming skill to the limit. These harder levels add spikes, more bottomless pits, and introduces the player to new maneuvers, such as after phasing through the blobbles, if you press the jump button upon exiting the blobble, you can jump, giving yourself some more height and momentum to reach further away platforms. Little things like that which spice up gameplay. Each level has one, go collect them all. Travelling deeper into the ruins, we meet up with Gothenland, who is a wee bit of a bitch. Pink-haired Madeline represents the thoughts along the lines of, you can't do that, it's impossible. In this case, these thoughts consist of, you are many things, darling, but you are not a mountain climber. Cue chase sequence as she pursues your exact path, so you can't retread your steps. Good shit. Good fun. After perilously traversing a labyrinth of platform challenges while being chased by your literal inner demons, you reach a payphone. The phone is ringing. On the other end is a mysterious person. A short conversation later, Madeline comes to the realization that she is dreaming. But it was too late, as she is eaten by something straight from the Eldritch. Madeline awakens to a surprise shift in atmosphere. The ruins now seem peaceful, and you meet up with one of the warmest characters in gaming, Theo. Theo is climbing the mountain because he is trying to become what I am assuming insta-famous. He takes a couple of selfies with you, ready to upload onto social media. Unimpressed, Madeline explains that she isn't photogenic. Obviously no one is without a filter, Theo responds, as he has everyone's favourite filter, Ludwig, probably. I don't know. Moving forward, we reach the aforementioned phone box, but instead of turning into an 8-bit version of my worst nightmare, we contact our mother. Madeline's mother is just as comforting as any decent mother is. This part of the game is very warm. I love how the level goes from being tense, stressful, and horrifying to warm, gentle, and soothing. Chapter 3, Celestial Resort. An abandoned hotel. Back in the day, it's easy to see that this place was probably booming, especially as it's so close to a city and located at the base of a beautiful mountain. Present day, however, sees the hotel in a rough state. We are hilariously introduced to another character, Mr. Oshiro. I love the way he appears. Just this horrible sound emerges from the speakers as a nightmare-endorsing skeleton materializes in front of you, followed by a cute little squeak as a cute dumpy ghost appears. Mr. Oshiro is a colourful character who loves the hotel and wants nothing but the best for it. But enough about him, what is this chapter's gimmick? Black and red blobs. Aren't they cute? Your average run-of-the-mill indestructible Gordo or fuzzy-like creature. A durable enemy that acts simply as an obstacle. These adorable little guys are scattered infinitely across the hotel. Mr. Oshiro seems to be convinced that he can persuade Madeline to spend the night at the hotel and be the first guest for a long, long time, as seen in the guest book, which is old and damaged. He is escorting Madeline to her room, even though she specifically states that she simply wants to pass through like an old turd. And now I present to you an OCD's worst nightmare. Look at this. Books and bedding everywhere. Great for platforming, but doesn't make good hotel decor. I would, however, like to stop a minute and talk about this conversation, but specifically the artwork within the character's dialogue box thingy. Considering the simplicity of the graphics, which are incredible by the way, I will talk about the graphics in a bit. However, it is hard to emulate emotion outside of things like heavy breathing, but this is how you portray emotion when using such primitive pixel art style. These little drawings of the characters are such a fine addition. Oh shit, that does nothing but add to the game's charm. Mr. Oshiro looks shocked here as he explains how cluttered the room is. As his in-game model turns around, so does the picture. The attention to detail is OCD levels of impressive, ironic considering the room we're in. And might I just add how adorable Madeline is. Look at that smile. Aww. So we set off to help clear up the mess. Amongst the rubble, we find a computer. On the computer is an even more retro version of Celeste. Pico, Poco 8 plays very similarly and is a great distraction, but we have a hotel to tidy. During our spring clean, we bump into Theo, who is trying to make a break for it. He doesn't hold back on how he feels about Oshiro, the creepy weirdo. But Madeline doesn't want to leave. She wants to help. Helping people who can't and don't want to be helped is a very relatable character trait, as we've all been there. After helping someone for an extended period of time, only for them to eventually spiral back into the same rut again, it's just tragic, but it happens to everyone. Well, after clearing up the mess off screen as my capture card takes a little poo, we're persuaded to have a gander at the presidential suite. Overthinking is rough. Here is a literal representation of that, as he overthinks so hard that he creates even more of these cute little black and red bloblets, thus answering the question on where they all came from. One final tread for a barrage of the visual representation of overthinking later, we make it to the master suite. It's pretty dank, but the problem is, we still don't want to stay the night. Mr. Oshiro isn't taking no for an answer until your metalhead alter ego crashes through a nearby mirror and blurts out some mean-ting words that, to be fair, is the first instance as to why the negative thoughts at the back of your mind can be helpful. Negative thoughts are consistently present in the mind. I'm getting them right now while writing this script, and I'm probably getting them while recording the audio. Yep, yeah I am. But sometimes these thoughts can be a good thing. In this case, even though you want to help this fella out and try to get him through his tough times, in the back of your mind you're constantly thinking, why are you helping him out? It's a bad idea. You're wasting your time. And in this scenario, yes, you should have listened to your negative thoughts and backed out. If you listen to those unfavourable thoughts, then it can save you a lot of hassle, even if you do feel bad about it. This is backed up as the literal representation of negative thoughts in the shape of a pink-haired version of yourself blasts through the ceiling and gets you out of that situation. This is a literal depiction on how your negative thoughts can get you out of a bad position. Sadly, in this instance, you don't quite make it out as you're in too deep. You should have backed out earlier. Even though in this case negative thoughts are a good thing, the execution on how you approach the situation is still key. You can't just be a big meanie bum and insult whomever you're trying to avoid, like Pinkerlin here, and just expect everything to just blow over. You have to take the right approach to things. Mr. Oshiro evolves into what only can be described as the game's first proper boss fight. Well, boss chase. Most of the time you're running away from the baddie. Good fun though. I love how the game goes into slow motion when you're close to him. It really makes you feel like you are Madeline. After escaping from the hotel, Mr. Oshiro floats away and you're treated to a heart-wrenching piece of art. Again, alongside the theme of the game, simple but very effective. Chapter 4. The Golden Ridge. One word. Stunning. You are amongst the clouds as the sun is setting, complemented with some subtle music. This level is just awe-inspiring. I'll get back to the graphics soon, but for now I have one amazing gimmick, one average gimmick, and one gimmick I really hate. The first one is Bouncy Cloud. It was a bit frustrating getting the timing right for these jumpy clouds, but when you do pull it off correctly, it just feels blue balls. Shoots you in the desired direction, giving you an extra bit of elevation. This I like. The platforming puzzles around these blue balls are just good fun. And finally, wind. I hate wind in any game and in real life actually. I hate it when games take control away from me, and wind in this game takes control away from me. Having said that, I am aware it doesn't really take control away from me, as it just warps my control, changing the gravity properties to mix up platforming. Okay, cool. Still hate it though. Not a fan of sour Smoof? Well, that is my first complaint in Celeste. And let me tell you, it's probably the only one. So don't get used to it because I'm not done gushing over this game. There is, however, one more gimmick in this level, and it's one of my favourites. These platforms that you can kind of drive in a sense, sometimes you need to escort them through dangerous paths so that you can then utilise it to grasp otherwise out of reach parts of the level. Great stuff. Sometimes you just need to hold on for dear life, otherwise you will inevitably die and add another death to your ever-growing counter. Luckily, deaths in this game don't really give you a punishment, other than making you attempt the room again. Even the game says you shouldn't feel bad about dying. Each death is a lesson. Lovely. Waddling about, collecting some strawberries, you notice a white block, and it's in the same room as a blue heart, which you can't quite reach. Luckily, because I'm a fat nerd, I recognise the white block as the same white block from Super Mario Bros. 3, so like in that game, I patiently waited while holding down and huzzah! It worked! You're now walking in the background. Messing with perspective in 2D platformers is how you make Smoof release endorphins 101. Yes. That's the nerdiest sentence I've ever said. After collecting the blue heart, I'm reminded about one of the most toxic cards in Magic the Gathering and or pretty sick battleground in World of Warcraft, and I go on my way. Oh yeah, Batty Old Bird is here. Not that one. Who laughs at you some more and throws some life lessons your way. However, Madeline is not quite ready for life lessons as she's had a pretty bad day after all. Moving forward, we continue through the gimmick that is also named after one of the many things that come out of my sweaty arse, and we get to the gondola. I had no idea what this thing was called before playing this game, so who says gaming can't teach you a thing or two? Gondola. My boy Theo joins us on the gondola as we motion sickly crawl up the cable. Of course, with Theo present, a selfie is not too far off, and oh god! Stoned Madeline brings the gondola to a halt as no-eyed Madeline starts having a panic attack. I love how they visually portray anxiety and panic as Madeline gets absorbed into the state of terror. Luckily, Theo got your back and calms her down with some deep breathing. Theo tells Madeline to visualize a falling feather. Each breath you take is stopping the feather from reaching the ground, and your goal is to keep that feather from reaching, well, the ground, as I just said. Luckily, this is not the end of the road for our worried hero and social media fanatic, as the gondola starts up again and they reach the other side of the chasm. Chasm Dave. The selfie was shared, they had a hearty chuckle, and they move on intact. Chapter 5. Mirror Temple. This part of the game is where we get most of the character development from Madeline and Theo. Theo obviously runs into the temple even with Madeline warning him not to, so we follow after him and we are greeted to yet another new gimmick. This time when you dash, these platforms move in a set path. After discovering Theo's phone is not attached to Theo, things are starting to look pretty dire. But dire is not what the next gimmick is. Jumping into these red balls makes you fly across the screen. This led to some amazing exploration segments. After a little spelunking, we find a key which opens a door and boom, our boy Theo has got himself stuck in a mirror. As you do. Theo explains that he went into the ruins to gain some traction on his Instagram page, which will become relevant in a bit. Theo needs our help though, so we delve deeper into the ruins. It's getting pretty hard to see in here, as we're greeted to some genius foreshadowing with these statues. Well, you guessed it. The statues come to life and try to kill you. But how they come to life? You guessed it again. Mirrors! Well, you probably didn't guess that. Well, you might have. Mirrors do play a big part in this game. The moment these monsters come to life, you get to control one of them. This little segment displays some amazing game design. While controlling the baddie, you're able to see the strengths, weaknesses, and learn how it interacts with certain terrain. After being unblissfully unaware on what the pink Madeline represents again, you are set a goal of reaching the other side of the rooms that are being guarded by these Medusa head-looking ass thingies. They're actually kind of hard to dodge at first, as your initial predictions of where they're going to end up gets warped by their off-putting speed. I remember playing this portion of the game for the first time. Every time that doorbell sound went off, my dog would look at the TV, confused, ready to bark. I always found that funny because he's such a good boy. Eventually you come across trapped Theo, who is being stared down by multiple eyes. Ew. Turns out the crystal and the eyes represent Theo's bad juju, the part of him that wants internet fame but just can't get it. He knows that that is the thing that is making him miserable, even though he still strives every day to try and get it. Same with Madeline. The purple world is an expression of her inner darker mind. Basically, the thing that she is pushing away is actually the thing that will make her a stronger human. Well, we reach Theo, who needs carrying out of the cave, Sam from Lord of the Rings style. This part of the game is very tense as it adds another layer of the dodging big beastie mechanic. And after duking some more eyeballs, we make it out alive. Well, not before dying several times. Chapter 6. Reflection. I love the beginning of this chapter. The atmosphere, while probably thin, is so peaceful. A complete 180 of what you just played through. Theo and Madeline have a deep heart-to-heart about each other's problems, and we gain some vital information about the two characters. Flavor text is always nothing but a good thing in my eyes, and here, it's my favourite flavour. I love Theo's reaction to the news of a demon doppelganger floating around. Just, mate, you could have told me. As if he had taken that seriously before. The combination of music, graphics, lovable characters and witty dialogue just made this part of the game so memorable. Our heroes take an actual nice selfie for once after talking about their problems. Everything is fine until a feather appears. But when you grab the feather, you fly! Which is awesome. Okay, you thought something bad was going to happen. Nope. We have a lovely flyabout, tasteful heart-to-heart with our demon doppelganger, and everything is, oh never mind, we're dead. Turns out Madeline's plan of releasing Morgana Madeline was the wrong answer. Things get a little hairy as many weirdos' fantasies come true, and even the feather can't save us now. All jokes aside, this part of the game is truly upsetting. You see all of your progress fizzle away as you're plunged down to the base of the mountain. There is one good thing to come from all this, however. This part of the game is, in my opinion, the prettiest part of the game. The colour of the water, the sky, ground, pink spikes, everything just pops and I love it. So finally, let's talk about the graphics. Graphics are the first thing you see in any video games, and sometimes it is make or break whether it draws you in or not. For me personally, I was drawn in instantly as the simple art style blends so effortlessly with the lighting and colour. I've always been a sucker for colourful games. The less like real life my games are, the better. Thank you very much. I'm sick of seeing this all the time. I don't want it in my video games too. The mid to late noughties were especially deplorable for me, as every game was dogshit brown. In recent years, game developers realised that there are other colours to work with, and have created some truly breathtaking worlds because of it. Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Spyro Reignited Trilogy, Overwatch, even realistic games like Horizon Zero Dawn and Red Dead Redemption are more colourful, and look how amazing it looks because of it. So needless to say, a good colour palette is important to me. So I can safely say that Celeste nails it in every way possible, and that is why the game looks so damn beautiful, not because it's a high budget realistic looking game like Red Dead Redemption 2, but because they took a simple concept and just ran with it, and they ran far. Also these guys. So finally we meet up with the Batty-Eyed bird. Not that one. Who has decided to stop being so cryptic and straight up gives Madeline some meaningful advice. She needs to talk to the opposing threat, converse with them, come to an understanding. A message I'm sure a lot of humans in the real world need to learn. After bouncing off these thick boys, we catch up with our doppelganger, who is not having any of our apology and tries to murder us with lasers. This section is so incredible, as it truly feels like you're battling against your own inner conflicts. The fight most humans go through on a day-to-day basis, illustrated in a stunning 8-bit chase scene. Except for the first time in the entire game, you're doing the chasing, which is an indirect piece of storytelling that doesn't go unnoticed by me. Pinky gives up, and for the first time you see Madeline at peace with herself. She has accepted her inner demons as part of her and is ready to take on the mountain. With Metalhead Madeline at your side, your hair changes to a bright pink and you can now dash in the air twice. This opens up some incredibly in-depth platforming challenges, as the distance between safety has essentially doubled. With one final cutscene with our fellow side characters, we start our final leg of the game, which ironically involves the base of the mountain, but this time with no negative, condescending thoughts floating around our head. Chapter 7. The Summit. Spoilers. The first thing you notice is the music. This is final level music material. Combining the game's main theme with a "you can do it" vibe is exactly what any good platformer needs in a final level. Chapter 7 is the longest level in the whole game. It involves going through smaller segments of each level prior to this one, although expanding on the level's initial gimmicks, alongside with the Double Dash present, giving you a challenge worthy of Endgame. At the end of each segment, your inner demon gone good helps you out by blasting you high in the sky. Each part is also separated with with a deep heart to heart. Each chat brings Madeline closer to understanding her negative self, and by the end they make amends and trust each other, which is needed for the last leg of the journey. After platforming through the abandoned forsaken city, the gloomy old site, the spooky celestial resort, the gorgeous Golden Ridge, the reflective mirror temple, we reach one last arduous climb to the top. This part doesn't mess around as it brings everything you've learned throughout the whole game into one last brutal challenge, which is just limitless fun. As you get closer to the summit, the music's volume is reduced until the tune has completely vanished, replaced with a soothing wind. The view, I can imagine, is beautiful. As they take a minute to take it all in, this part is a bit of a tearjerker as Madeline and Nega Madeline exchange fears and worries once they leave the mountain. This line here is the peak of their character development, but I'm going to have to depend on you to listen to me. I'm going to say this one last time. Your negative thoughts can be swung into oddly positive understandings which can be used for favourable outcomes in life. And with that, the game is over. The credits roll, and we watch both Madelines amble their way back down the mountain. Reuniting with Batty Old Bird, Theo, and surprisingly Mr. Oshiro, Madeline bakes a strawberry pie for everyone. Depending on how many strawberries you collected, depends on how good the pie tastes. A cute idea. One that drives home the fact that the strawberry collectibles are simply there for bragging rights for your friends in-game and out-game. Out-game? Yeah. After this adorable cutscene, the screen goes black and a year passes. A year later, you meet up with Batty Old Bird who takes you into the core of the mountain. This area is for the completionists out there. Something to do once you collect everything. A completionist I am not, however, so I'm not going to ruin what's inside. I might do it one day. We'll see. It's nice to know there's something for those who want to go the extra mile though. But for now, my journey is complete. If you were into hard as nails platformers with gorgeous graphics, wonderful music, simple gameplay, challenging level design, and charming story, then Celeste is for you. And thank you very much for watching my new review series. I am planning on reviewing at least 2 games a month, so please hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, like, share with your friends, comment, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching everyone. Bye.